The kingdom of Lumeria had been quiet for many years. The streets were clean, the towers tall, and the gardens full of bright flowers. But the hearts of the people carried a quiet sadness. Everyone remembered the Princess Elira, the daughter of the queen who had disappeared decades ago. Some said she had gone to explore distant worlds. Others whispered that she was lost forever. But everyone, deep in their hearts, hoped she would return someday. The queen herself had aged gracefully, her silver hair a symbol of wisdom and time, yet her eyes still carried the shadow of worry. Every morning she would walk to the highest balcony of her palace and look toward the horizon. She would whisper Elira's name, hoping the winds of the world might carry her daughter back. The people of Lumeria had grown used to waiting, but the hope never died. One evening, as the twin moons of Lumeria rose in the sky, the palace bells rang suddenly. The sound echoed through the city and startled the people. A messenger, running as fast as his legs could carry him, arrived at the queen's chambers. "Your Majesty," he called out of breath. "The gates! Someone is arriving!" The queen's heart skipped a beat. "Who is it?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. "I cannot tell yet," the messenger said, his eyes wide with surprise. "But it is someone extraordinary." The queen followed him to the gates. There at the entrance a crowd had gathered. People whispered to each other, pointing and holding their children close. In the distance a figure appeared. She walked slowly, confidently, and yet there was a softness in her step. It was a woman, tall and graceful, with hair the color of autumn leaves and eyes that seemed to hold the entire sky. But what made the people gasp the most was that she was not alone. Hand in hand she walked with two small children. They were humans, with skin that glowed softly in the moonlight and eyes wide with wonder. They seemed unafraid, smiling gently at the crowd as if they already knew they belonged. The queen's breath caught in her throat. She could not believe her eyes. "Elira?" she whispered, almost afraid to speak. The woman stopped and looked up. Her eyes were full of warmth and relief. "Mother," she said, her voice soft but strong. "I have returned." The queen ran forward, tears streaming down her cheeks. She reached out her arms, and Elira embraced her. It was a moment the kingdom had dreamed of for many years. The people gasped and cheered, some dropping to their knees in joy. But the queen's eyes quickly moved to the children. "Who are these children?" she asked, still holding her daughter close. Elira smiled gently. "Mother, these are my children. Their names are Aiden and Lyra. They are humans." The crowd went silent. Whispers ran through the air like a soft wind. Humans were rare in this kingdom, and most had never seen one close enough to touch. Yet the children looked happy, curious, and full of life. The queen took a deep breath, trying to calm her racing heart. "My children," she said softly, looking at Aiden and Lyra. "You are safe now. You are welcome here." The children smiled shyly and nodded. Aiden, the older of the two, had a curious sparkle in his eyes, and Lyra, the younger, held tightly to Elira's hand, her small fingers curling around her mother's. They seemed unafraid, as if they already understood the love and warmth of the royal family. Elira led the children into the palace. The halls had changed over the years, but some things remained the same. The golden chandeliers, the marble floors, and the tapestries that told the history of the kingdom. The children's eyes grew wide with wonder. "It's beautiful," Lyra whispered, her voice soft but full of excitement. "Yes," Elira said, smiling at them. "This is where I grew up. And now it will be our home together." The queen watched as her daughter guided the children through the halls. She could see the bond between them. It was not just a mother and her children. It was something deeper, a connection that had been formed across stars and worlds. Through courage, kindness, and trust. Later, in the quiet of the royal gardens, Elira told her mother the story of her journey. She spoke of distant planets, of glowing forests, floating oceans, and cities that seemed to touch the sky. She spoke of creatures she had met, some strange and others beautiful, and of the humans who had stood by her side through every challenge. "They saved me, Mother," Elira said, her eyes shining. "Aiden and Lyra have hearts full of bravery. They think differently and they understand things that no one else could. I would not have returned without them." The queen listened, amazed and proud. She could see it clearly now. These humans were not just strangers, they were part of her daughter's life, part of her family. Their courage and intelligence had helped Elira survive, and now they were part of the kingdom's story. As night fell over Lumeria, the palace glowed softly under the light of the twin moons. The people of the city could not stop talking about the return of the princess. Some went home, unable to sleep, thinking about the humans who had traveled with her. Others stayed awake, hoping to catch a glimpse of the children who had changed their world forever. The queen, meanwhile, sat with Elira and the children in the palace garden. A gentle breeze moved through the trees, carrying the scent of flowers and the quiet hum of the city. "Tell me everything," she said softly. "I want to hear every detail." Elira nodded, taking a deep breath. "It will take hours, Mother, but I will tell you everything. From the moment I left our world to the day I returned with these two." Aiden and Lyra snuggled close, listening with wide eyes. The children were curious and excited, asking questions about the stars and the creatures Elira had met. They laughed softly when she described the odd behaviors of alien animals, and gasped when she spoke of dangerous storms and mysterious worlds. The queen watched them and felt a warmth in her heart she had not felt in years. For the first time in decades, hope had returned, not just for Elira, but for the kingdom itself. The children represented something new, something extraordinary. They were proof that courage, kindness, and intelligence could cross worlds and change destinies. As the first light of dawn began to touch the palace towers, the queen knew that this was only the beginning. The journey of her daughter and her human children would shape the future of Lumeria. The kingdom was about to enter a new era, one filled with wonder, discovery, and the extraordinary power of humans who dared to reach for the stars. And as Elira held Aiden and Lyra close, smiling at the rising sun, the queen whispered to herself, "You are home now, and together we will face whatever the future holds." The palace bells rang once more, not in alarm this time, but in celebration. The people of Lumeria would remember this day forever. The day the princess returned, hand in hand with her human children, bringing hope, wonder, and a promise of extraordinary days to come. The palace was alive with quiet excitement the morning after Elira's return. Sunlight spilled over the golden towers, touching the gardens that were already filled with the songs of birds. Aiden and Lyra had never seen such a place. Every corner of the palace seemed magical to them. The crystal fountains, the intricate stone paths, and the large halls where sunlight shone through tall windows. Elira guided them through the corridors. "This is where I played as a child," she said, smiling. "And over there," she pointed toward a long hallway lined with paintings, "is where I learned about the stars and the worlds beyond our kingdom." The children stopped in front of a large painting of planets circling distant suns. "Are those real?" Aiden asked, his eyes wide. "They are," Elira replied, kneeling beside him. "And I have been to some of them." Lyra gasped softly. "You went to the stars? You really left our world?" Elira nodded. "Yes, it was long ago and it was not easy. But I met many worlds and I met creatures who taught me many things. And I met your people, humans who helped me survive." The children exchanged glances, excited and curious. They wanted to hear every detail. Elira smiled and began her story. "I was taken far from Lumeria to a planet where the skies glowed green and blue at night. The trees were taller than our tallest towers and their leaves shimmered like silver. The ground glowed softly, lighting every step. But the planet was not safe. There were storms that moved like living creatures and creatures that could hide in shadows and vanish in an instant." Aiden leaned forward. "Were they scary?" "Yes," Elira said honestly. "But your people helped me. They were brave and clever. They could think of solutions that others could not. They helped me escape dangers that I could not have faced alone." Lyra hugged Elira's arm. "Tell us more, please." Elira smiled. She could see how eager the children were to learn. "We traveled together from one world to another. On a planet made of floating islands, humans learned how to jump from one island to another safely. On a world where oceans floated above the land, humans built machines that could fly through the water and air at the same time. Everywhere we went, humans adapted. They learned languages, customs, and even the smallest details about creatures that seemed impossible to understand." The queen listened from a nearby bench, her hands folded neatly in her lap. She had asked to hear the story as well, and now she watched her daughter speak, proud of the bravery and intelligence her children carried. Humans were rare in Lumeria, but Elira's words made their uniqueness clear. They could not only survive in strange worlds, they could thrive. Elira continued, describing a desert planet where the wind was so hot it could burn skin in seconds. Your people created shelters that could move with the wind and keep us safe, she said, glancing at Aiden and Lyra. And they never complained. They simply found a way to survive and protect everyone. Aiden's eyes sparkled. We would have done the same, he said proudly. Lyra laughed softly. I know you would, my brave one. And that is why I trust you. That is why I brought you here. The children's faces glowed with pride. They had never imagined being part of a royal story. But now they were standing in the palace gardens, hearing tales of distant worlds they could hardly picture. The stories made them feel brave, clever, and important. Then Lyra told them about the friendship she had formed. Not all creatures were friendly at first, she explained. Some were cautious, some even tried to stop us. But humans have a gift. They can show kindness, patience, and courage even when danger is near. You can earn trust in ways that others cannot. That is why we survived together. Lyra's eyes grew wide. So humans are special? She asked softly. Yes, Lyra said, smiling warmly. Humans have hearts full of bravery and curiosity. You see things others cannot. You find solutions when no one else can. That is why your people are remarkable. And that is why I knew you had to come with me to Lumeria. The queen, listening quietly, felt her heart swell. For many years she had worried about her daughter, and now she realized that Lyra had returned not just alive, but with companions who could inspire the kingdom. Humans were different, yes, but different in ways that could help her people grow stronger. As the sun climbed higher, Lyra led the children to a small balcony overlooking the city. From there they could see the markets, the towers, and the people walking in the streets. This is our world, Lyra said. It is beautiful and it is safe, but it is also full of challenges. Just as I traveled the stars, we will have challenges here too, and your courage will help us face them. Aiden turned to his mother. Do you think humans and your people can live together safely? Lyra nodded. Yes, I believe they can. If we show them kindness, understanding, and courage, we can learn from each other. That is what makes life wonderful. Lyra hugged her mother again. I want to see the stars someday too. Lyra smiled. You will, little one. And when that time comes, you will show the stars what humans are capable of. The morning passed and the children explored the palace under Lyra's watchful eyes. They discovered secret gardens, rooms filled with books and hallways lined with treasures from past generations. They asked questions, laughed, and learned. Every step seemed magical, as if the palace itself was welcoming them home. By afternoon, the queen joined them in the royal library. It was a large room filled with scrolls, books, and maps. Lyra spread a large star map across the table. These are the worlds I have visited, she said, pointing to tiny glowing dots. Some are far, far away beyond what anyone in Lumeria has seen. But we can study them, learn about them, and prepare for whatever adventures come next. Aiden leaned close to the map. Can humans travel to these worlds too? Yes, Lyra said. And one day you will. But first you must learn, grow, and understand what makes your heart strong. Courage, kindness, curiosity. These are the tools you will need. The queen watched her grandchildren with admiration. Humans were not just strong, they were clever, brave, and kind. They had faced dangers in ways her people could not, and now they were part of Lumeria's story. She realized that their presence would not only protect the kingdom, but also teach her people new ways of thinking and living. As evening fell, the palace glowed under the light of the twin moons. Lyra, Aiden, and Lyra stood on the balcony again, looking at the stars. The children had many questions, and Lyra answered each one patiently. They asked about alien planets, glowing forests, floating oceans, and creatures with more than two eyes. Lyra told them everything, smiling at their curiosity and excitement. Finally, Lyra asked, Do you think humans can really change the world? Lyra looked at her daughter, then at Aiden. Yes, she said. Humans have the power to change worlds, not just by fighting or building, but by thinking differently, helping others, and showing courage when no one else does. That is why I brought you here. That is why you are part of this story. The children held hands, feeling proud and important. They understood in a way that they were part of something larger than themselves. The kingdom, the stars, and even the future of Lumeria depended on courage, kindness, and clever thinking, and they had those qualities in abundance. The queen joined them on the balcony. The people of Lumeria will need time to understand humans, she said softly. But I believe that with your hearts and minds you will show them that difference is strength, not weakness." The children nodded, feeling ready for whatever lay ahead. They did not yet know all the challenges they would face, but they knew they were brave, clever, and loved. And in that moment, under the light of the twin moons, Elira, Aiden, Lyra, and the Queen felt a sense of hope stronger than anything they had felt in years. The stars above twinkled gently, as if smiling at them, welcoming the children of the princess into the kingdom of Lumeria. And though the adventures were only beginning, the promise of courage, discovery, and unity filled the night air with magic and hope. The palace had never been so full of whispers. The return of Princess Elira, hand in hand with her human children, had filled the corridors with excitement, curiosity, and unease. While the Queen and her closest advisors welcomed Elira with open arms, not everyone in Lumeria shared the same joy. Some nobles whispered in hidden chambers, unsure of what this meant for their kingdom and their influence. Humans in the royal family. One noble muttered to another in the shadowed hallway, "Can we allow this? What if they bring danger? What if they upset the balance of Lumeria?" "They survived across the stars," the other whispered back. "Yes, but the people here have rules. Will the humans follow them? Can we trust them?" The palace itself seemed to sense the tension. Even the gardens, usually bright and lively, felt quieter. Birds perched silently on the marble walls, and the fountains bubbled gently, as if waiting for the outcome of the growing uncertainty. Elira noticed the tension but remained calm. She knew that fear often arose from misunderstanding. Humans, she believed, were not just visitors. They were capable, brave, and wise, and she would prove it to everyone. "Mother," Elira said to the Queen one morning, "I can feel the doubt. Some in the court worry about Aiden and Lyra, but they must see what I see. Humans are extraordinary. They think in ways that can save lives, and they have hearts strong enough to face challenges no one else can." The Queen nodded, her silver hair glinting in the morning sun. "I know," she said softly, "but we must be careful. Some people fear what they do not understand." Elira smiled. "Then we will show them." Later that day, a meeting was called in the grand hall. The nobles filed in, dressed in their finest robes, their faces a mixture of curiosity, concern, and pride. They bowed to the Queen, who sat at the head of the hall, and then to Elira and the children. The humans stood tall, though they felt the weight of the room's expectations. Aiden held his sister's hand, and Lyra's small grip gave him confidence. Elira stepped forward, her voice strong and steady. "I have returned to Lumeria not alone, but with two remarkable companions. Aiden and Lyra are humans. They have traveled across the stars with me. They have faced dangers, solved problems, and helped me survive worlds no one here could imagine. They are brave, intelligent, and kind. And now they are part of our family, and part of Lumeria." The nobles whispered among themselves. Some nodded slowly, impressed by the courage of the children. Others frowned, uncertain how to accept humans into a kingdom that had been strictly Lumerian for centuries. One elder noble, Lord Varric, stood and spoke. "Princess Elira, your return is a blessing to this kingdom. But these humans, though they may have aided you elsewhere, are not of our world. How can we know they will honor our laws, our customs, and our traditions?" Aiden stepped forward slightly, his small voice steady. "Sir, we may not be from here, but we have learned respect. We have learned courage. And we want to be part of Lumeria. We want to help, not harm," Lyra added softly. "We only want to live with Elira and learn about this world." The hall grew quiet. The Queen's eyes glistened with pride. Her grandchildren, though young, had spoken with honesty and bravery. The nobles exchanged glances, unsure of how to respond to such sincerity. Elira spoke again, her voice calm and clear. "Your people have rules, traditions, and wisdom. We respect that. Humans are not here to replace anything, they are here to help. They see differently, think differently, and act differently. But that difference is a strength. I know it saved my life, and I know it can strengthen Lumeria." The murmurs continued, but slowly the nobles began to consider her words. Some nodded, recognizing the truth in her statements. Others remained cautious, but curiosity began to replace fear. Over the following days, the humans began to show their abilities in small, practical ways. Aiden discovered a method to repair a broken water channel in the palace gardens, using a clever combination of materials and tools. Lyra, though small, had a sharp mind and noticed patterns in the royal library's records that others had overlooked. They were not only quick learners but also thinkers who could adapt to new environments with ease. The people of the palace, who had at first watched silently, began to take notice. Servants whispered about the clever solutions the children offered, and even the soldiers noticed how humans could analyze situations and find unusual, effective ways to solve problems. Elira watched with satisfaction. "You see, Mother," she said to the Queen one afternoon, "they are showing what humans can do. They do not seek power or recognition, they only wish to help." The Queen nodded. "Yes, but some will take longer to understand it. Patience will be needed." One morning, Elira arranged a demonstration in the courtyard. The palace engineers were struggling with a water filtration system for the city's wells. Elira invited Aiden and Lyra to observe and suggest improvements. The humans examined the machinery carefully, noting small details that others had overlooked. Aiden suggested adjusting the angles of certain channels to increase water flow, while Lyra proposed a way to filter out debris more efficiently. The engineers were skeptical at first, but they followed the children's instructions. Within hours, the system worked perfectly, supplying clean water to hundreds of citizens. The courtyard erupted in applause. The nobles who had doubted the humans now looked impressed. Lord Varric approached Elira later that day. "I must admit," he said slowly, "I underestimated the abilities of humans. Your children have proven themselves clever and capable. Perhaps there is a place for them in Lumeria after all." Elira smiled warmly. "I'm glad you see that now. They are not here to replace anyone. They are here to strengthen us, to help us face the future." Even among the common people, Aiden and Lyra became admired figures. Children wanted to learn from them, while adults appreciated their helpfulness and intelligence. The humans' courage and adaptability began to change perceptions. What was once fear and suspicion slowly turned into curiosity, respect, and acceptance. But not everyone was convinced. Some nobles still held secret meetings, wary of the humans' growing influence. They feared change and worried that the presence of humans might disrupt centuries of tradition. Elira knew she could not convince everyone immediately, but she remained patient. Action spoke louder than words, and her children's actions were slowly winning hearts. One evening, Elira, Aiden, and Lyra sat in the palace gardens, looking at the stars. "Do you think they will accept us completely?" Aiden asked quietly. Elira took his hand and smiled. "Some will take time. Humans are new to this world, and some people fear what they do not understand. But I promise you, with patience, courage, and kindness, they will see what I see, that humans are extraordinary." Lyra leaned on her mother's shoulder. "I hope so," she whispered. "I want to belong here, to be part of this kingdom." Elira kissed her forehead. "You already are. And together we will show everyone that courage and cleverness have no boundaries. Being different does not mean being unwelcome. It means being strong." The Queen watched from the palace balcony above, her heart full. She had witnessed her daughter's return, seen her human grandchildren face doubt with courage, and watched them inspire the people around them. Slowly, she realized that humans were not just visitors, they were a gift. They would help Lumeria grow, not only in strength but in wisdom and understanding. The moon rose high, casting silver light over the palace. Elira held the hands of Aiden and Lyra tightly. "Tomorrow," she whispered, "we will continue to show the kingdom what humans can do. And step by step the people will learn to accept us." The children nodded, feeling brave and ready. They did not yet know all the challenges ahead, but they understood one important truth. Courage, kindness, and intelligence could change hearts, and even a kingdom that had doubted them could be won over. And as the night deepened, the palace remained quiet, filled with a sense of hope and anticipation. For the first time in many years, Lumeria was not only waiting for its future, it was beginning to see it, shaped by the bravery of Elira and the human children who had returned with her. The journey toward full acceptance had begun, and with it, the kingdom would soon discover that the courage of humans was unlike anything it had ever seen. Life in Lumeria had begun to settle into a new rhythm. The palace was bright with laughter, and the city buzzed with curiosity and excitement. Elira's human children, Aiden and Lyra, had become beloved figures. The nobles, though still cautious, were slowly growing accustomed to their presence. The Queen felt a quiet pride, seeing her daughter and grandchildren bring a new sense of hope to the kingdom. But peace is often fragile. One evening, as the twin moons of Lumeria cast their soft light across the towers, a strange sight appeared in the sky. Dark shapes moved against the stars, forming a fleet unlike anything the kingdom had ever seen. The ships were sleek, metallic and menacing, their lights glowing red as they moved in formation. The people of Lumeria gasped in fear, and the palace alarms rang loudly, echoing through the streets. Elira stood on the balcony, her eyes narrowing. "Those are alien ships," she said softly, her voice calm but firm. "They are advanced and dangerous, and they are coming here because of me, and because of what we have done among the stars." The queen placed a hand on her daughter's shoulder. "Can we stop them?" she asked, worry lacing her tone. Elira looked at her human children. "Yes, but we will need every bit of courage, cleverness, and teamwork we have. Aiden, Lyra, this is your chance to show the kingdom what humans are capable of." The children nodded, their eyes wide but determined. They had trained with Elira in small ways, learning strategy, problem-solving, and observation. But nothing could have fully prepared them for a real invasion. Still, they did not hesitate. The palace council gathered quickly. Elira explained the threat. A fleet of raiders from a distant star system had tracked her movements across the galaxy. They were seeking advanced technology, knowledge, and control. If they reached Lumeria, the kingdom would be in danger. The council, though anxious, listened carefully. The human's presence, Elira explained, was not a weakness, it was a strength. Aiden stepped forward. "We can help," he said confidently. "We have learned strategies from traveling with Elira. We can find ways to stop them or at least slow them down until everyone is ready." Lyra added softly, "And we know how to work together. We can look for weaknesses they might not expect." The queen studied them, feeling a mix of fear and pride. She had never imagined that her grandchildren, humans from a distant world, would become the kingdom's hope. But their bravery shone brightly, and she trusted her daughter's judgment. Preparations began immediately. The palace engineers worked to reinforce walls, build barriers, and prepare defenses. Soldiers trained tirelessly, while Elira and the children studied the approaching fleet. Using maps, star charts, and knowledge from Elira's travels, they identified possible weak points in the raiders' formation. The human's perspective was different from anyone else's. Aiden noticed that the fleet moved in a straight line, relying on speed rather than agility. "If we can slow them down," he said, "we can divide them into smaller groups, making them easier to handle." Lyra observed the raiders' energy weapons. "They recharge slowly," she pointed out. "If we can create shields or obstacles, we can make them waste energy and weaken their attacks." Elira nodded. "Exactly. That is why humans are invaluable. They see solutions others might miss." As the first ships entered the atmosphere, the kingdom held its breath. Red lights glowed in the sky, and the hum of engines filled the air. Citizens watched from the streets, their fear tempered by the sight of Elira, Aiden, and Lyra leading the defense. The battle began with a loud roar. The alien ships fired energy blasts at the city walls. Soldiers used shields and barriers to protect key areas, but the human strategies made the difference. Aiden suggested using the natural terrain to funnel the raiders into narrow passes, where their speed would become a disadvantage. Lyra guided soldiers to place energy reflectors that disrupted the raiders' weapons. The raiders were skilled and relentless, but humans were unpredictable. Their clever solutions and adaptability confused the invaders. For every attack the raiders launched, Aiden and Lyra found a countermeasure. The soldiers of Lumeria, inspired by the humans' bravery, fought with renewed determination. Elira moved quickly among the defenders, coordinating their actions. "Remember what we practiced," she shouted. "Trust your instincts, watch for patterns, and protect the city." Aiden and Lyra worked together seamlessly. They communicated silently, pointing and signaling strategies that no one else could see immediately. Humans had a natural ability to understand patterns and anticipate moves, and it became the turning point of the battle. Hours passed, and the raiders began to falter. Ships were forced to retreat after sustaining damage from clever traps and obstacles. Elira led a small group of defenders to disable the remaining fleet, using tactics she had learned across countless worlds. The queen watched from a high tower, her heart filled with pride. Her daughter and her grandchildren were not only surviving, they were saving the kingdom. Finally, the last of the raiders' ships broke formation and fled toward the stars. The city erupted in cheers. People poured into the streets celebrating their victory. Soldiers hugged each other, exhausted but grateful, and in the center of it all, Elira held the hands of Aiden and Lyra, smiling with relief and pride. The queen approached, tears in her eyes. "You have done more than I ever imagined," she said, her voice trembling. "You have saved Lumeria," Aiden smiled, feeling a mixture of pride and humility. "We only did what we had to do," he said. "We wanted to protect everyone, and we wanted to show that humans can help, even in worlds far from their own." Lyra nodded. "We learned from Elira, but we also learned from each other. Working together made all the difference." Elira kissed their foreheads. "You have proven yourselves to me, to the queen, and to the entire kingdom. Humans are extraordinary, and now everyone in Lumeria can see it too." The queen embraced them all. "Yes," she said softly. "You have shown that courage and cleverness are not limited by origin. Humans have become part of our family and part of our kingdom." That night the city celebrated. Lanterns glowed in the streets, music filled the air, and people danced in joy. Elira, Aiden, and Lyra stood on the palace balcony, looking down at the happy citizens. For the first time in many years, the kingdom felt truly safe, not just from invaders, but in knowing that unity and bravery could overcome any threat. Aiden looked at the stars above. "I never thought humans could make such a difference here," he said softly. Lyra smiled. "We just had to try. And we had each other." Elira hugged them both tightly. "And that is why humans are so special. Your courage, your cleverness, and your hearts are what make you strong. Together we can face anything, even the unknown beyond the stars." The queen joined them on the balcony, placing a gentle hand on Elira's shoulder. "The kingdom owes you a debt that can never be repaid," she said. "You have proven that differences are strengths, and that bravery knows no boundaries." Elira looked at the two humans she had raised, her eyes shining with pride. "The future is bright," she said, "and together, humans and Lumerians will make it even brighter." The night sky was filled with stars, each one a reminder of the worlds Elira had visited, the dangers they had faced and the journeys still to come. Lumeria had survived the threat, and it had survived because humans had been part of its story. And as the city celebrated the Queen Elira, and her human children knew one truth: the courage, cleverness, and unity of humans had not only saved a kingdom, it had changed it forever. The stars twinkled above, as if acknowledging the bravery of Aiden and Lyra. They had faced a threat no one else could have overcome, and in doing so they had won the respect, trust, and admiration of an entire world. The future awaited them, filled with challenges, adventures, and discoveries. But one thing was certain: humans, no matter how small, had the power to change destinies and shape worlds in ways no one could have imagined. And Lumeria, once uncertain, now understood the extraordinary gift it had received in the form of Elira's human children. The morning after the great battle, Lumeria awoke to a world that felt brighter than ever. The twin moons had set, and the first sunlight sparkled across the city towers, reflecting off golden rooftops and crystal fountains. The streets were alive with laughter, children running freely and merchants opening their stalls. But this morning was different. Today, the kingdom celebrated not only survival but unity, courage, and a new future. Princess Elira walked through the palace gardens, holding the hands of Aiden and Lyra. The children's faces glowed with excitement, yet there was a sense of quiet pride in their eyes. They had faced unimaginable dangers, outwitted alien invaders, and proved their worth to an entire world. The kingdom now understood what Elira had always known: humans were extraordinary, and their presence was a gift. The queen followed them, her heart full of pride and hope. "You have done more than I ever imagined," she said softly. "Not only have you protected the kingdom, but you have shown its people that courage, cleverness, and kindness are what truly matter." Elira smiled. "Mother, the kingdom has changed, and this is just the beginning. Humans and Lumerians working together can face anything." The queen nodded. "Then it is time to show the world that we are united. Today we celebrate a new era." The palace bells rang not as warnings but as a call to gather. The people of Lumeria filled the city squares, eager to see their princess and the humans who had become heroes. Soldiers lined the streets, standing tall in their shining armor. Nobles, once wary, now walked with heads held high, showing respect to Elira and her children. Elira stepped onto the balcony of the Grand Hall, with Aiden and Lyra by her side. She raised her hand and the crowd fell silent. The Queen, standing behind her, gave a gentle nod, signaling approval. "People of Lumeria," Elira began, her voice strong and clear. "Today, we celebrate not just our survival, but our future, a future where courage, kindness, and intelligence are honored, no matter where they come from. Today, we welcome Aiden and Lyra, not as strangers, but as part of our family and part of our kingdom." The crowd erupted in cheers. Aiden and Lyra waved shyly but proudly, feeling the love and acceptance of the people around them. Some children ran forward to catch a glimpse of them, and adults bowed in respect. Humans had proven themselves not through words but through action, and now their presence was celebrated. Lord Varric, once one of the most skeptical nobles, stepped forward. "Princess Elira," he said, his voice carrying through the hall, "I have seen the courage and cleverness of these humans. They have faced dangers no one else could, and they have saved our kingdom. Today I offer my respect and my loyalty to them, and to the new future they represent." Other nobles followed, some slowly, others with bright smiles. Acceptance was spreading through the palace and beyond. Elira's children had shown that differences were strengths, and the kingdom was beginning to embrace this truth fully. The Queen stepped forward and took Elira's hand, then reached for Aiden and Lyra. "You are now officially recognized as part of the royal family," she declared. "Your courage, intelligence, and hearts have earned a place here. Together, we will protect Lumeria and explore the possibilities of a future that is brighter than we could have imagined." Aiden and Lyra exchanged glances, their small hands gripping Elira's tightly. They felt a warmth in their hearts, a sense of belonging that they had never experienced fully before. Humans had traveled across the stars, faced dangers unknown, and now they were recognized as heroes in a world far from their own. The celebrations continued throughout the day. Music filled the air, with musicians playing melodies from both Lumeria and distant worlds Elira had visited. Children played games inspired by adventures across the stars, imagining themselves as explorers, scientists, and heroes. The streets were decorated with banners showing images of humans and Lumerians working together, a symbol of unity and strength. Elira, Aiden, and Lyra moved among the crowd, shaking hands, sharing smiles, and answering questions. People were eager to hear stories of the stars, the adventures, and the courage that had saved their world. Aiden explained how they had observed patterns in the raiders' ships, while Lyra described how they had worked with soldiers to create defenses. The crowd listened in awe, amazed that such young humans could accomplish so much. The Queen watched from her balcony, her eyes full of tears of pride. She realized that the future of Lumeria was no longer limited by tradition or fear. With humans as part of the kingdom, the possibilities were endless. Knowledge, courage, and creativity could now flow freely between worlds. As night fell, lanterns lit up the city, and Elira guided the children to the palace rooftop. From there, they could see the entire kingdom, peaceful and alive under the shimmering light of the twin moons. Stars sparkled above, reminding them of distant worlds, adventures past, and journeys yet to come. "We did it," Lyra whispered, leaning against her mother. "We really helped them," Aiden nodded. "Yes. And now everyone can see that humans are not just visitors, they are part of this world too." Elira hugged them both tightly. "You have shown everyone what humans can do. Bravery, cleverness, and hearts full of kindness can change destinies. Today you have changed Lumeria forever." The Queen joined them, placing a gentle hand on each of the children's shoulders. "And in doing so," she said softly, "you have opened a new chapter for the kingdom, one where courage and unity guide us, not fear or doubt." In the days that followed, the kingdom embraced this new era. Humans and Lumerians shared knowledge, ideas, and culture. Schools taught about distant worlds, problem-solving, and teamwork. Scientists and engineers studied Elira's stories, learning techniques from across the stars. The people of Lumeria became stronger, wiser, and more open-minded than ever before. Aiden and Lyra continued to explore, learn, and teach. They discovered new ways to use their unique abilities to help the kingdom, from engineering improvements to creative solutions for city planning. Their presence inspired others to think differently, act bravely, and work together. Elira knew that their journey was just beginning. There would be new challenges, new discoveries, and perhaps new threats from distant stars. But she also knew that with humans and Lumerians working together, nothing was impossible. Courage, intelligence, and kindness were the tools that could shape the future. And now Lumeria had them all in abundance. The queen, watching the children play in the palace gardens, felt a deep sense of peace. The kingdom had survived threats from beyond the stars, and it had done so with humans as allies, heroes, and family. Elira's children had shown that differences were strengths, that bravery came in many forms, and that unity could overcome any challenge. As the twin moons rose once again, Elira held the hands of Aiden and Lyra, looking out at the horizon. "The stars are still out there," she said softly, "and one day we will explore them together. But for now we celebrate our home, our kingdom, and the new era we have begun." The children smiled, feeling proud and hopeful. They had seen danger, faced it, and triumphed. They had earned respect, love, and a place in the hearts of a kingdom far from their own world. And as they looked up at the stars, they knew that the future was bright, full of adventures, discoveries, and endless possibilities. The city below glowed with celebration, music, and laughter. Humans and Lumerians walked side by side, sharing stories, learning from each other, and building a world stronger than ever. Elira, her children, and the queen watched from above, knowing that together, they had shaped a future that would inspire generations to come. And in that moment, under the light of the twin moons and the distant stars, the kingdom of Lumeria entered a new era, an era of courage, unity, and hope. Humans had not only returned with Elira, they had changed the world forever.